Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that Apple no longer exists. Sounds impossible, right? Well, 20 years ago, that's exactly how people felt about Nokia. Nokia wasn't just another phone company. It was the phone industry. Nearly half of all smartphones sold worldwide carried the Nokia logo. It was worth over $150 billion. It had millions of loyal customers. And perhaps most importantly, almost nobody believed it could ever lose. Yet only a few years later, the company that once ruled the world was forced to sell its phone business for a fraction of its former value. So, what actually happened? Was it bad luck, bad products, or did Nokia slowly destroy itself? To understand the answer, we need to go back to the moment when Nokia stood on top of the world. Success has a strange way of blinding people, and no company illustrates that better than Nokia. By 2007, Nokia wasn't competing. It was dominating. Nearly one out of every two smartphones sold around the globe came from Nokia. Their phones were famous for surviving drops, lasting for days on a single charge, and working almost anywhere on Earth. Consumers trusted Nokia. Investors loved Nokia. Employees believed they were building the future. Everything pointed in one direction: continued success. But history has shown something interesting. Companies rarely collapse when they're struggling. They usually collapse when they're winning. Then, January 9th, 2007, Steve Jobs walked onto a stage holding a device that many executives dismissed as a toy, the first iPhone. Inside Nokia, many believed Apple didn't understand phones. They laughed at the missing keyboard. They criticized the poor battery. They pointed out the weak camera. And technically, they weren't wrong. The first iPhone wasn't better than Nokia in many areas. But Nokia made one critical mistake. They compared specifications. Apple changed expectations. Apple wasn't trying to build a better phone. It was building a pocket computer. And that's something Nokia never fully understood. It's easy to blame Apple, but Apple wasn't the reason Nokia collapsed. The real problem was inside Nokia's own headquarters. Former employees would later describe a culture where people were afraid to speak honestly. Engineers knew Symbian was becoming outdated. They knew competitors were catching up. They knew change was necessary. But bad news rarely reached the executives. Why? Because nobody wanted to be the person delivering it. Promotions depended on appearing successful. Deadlines mattered more than reality. Managers wanted good reports, not honest reports. Little by little, the company stopped solving problems because leadership stopped hearing about them. Most people believe companies fail because they run out of talent. Nokia proves otherwise. Nokia had brilliant engineers, world-class designers, massive resources. What they lacked was psychological safety. Fear became the invisible manager. Fear of failure, fear of losing status, fear of admitting mistakes. And once fear becomes part of a company's culture, innovation quietly disappears. By the time Nokia realized the market had changed, it was already reacting instead of leading. First, they tried improving Symbian. Then they invested in MeGo. Then they abandoned MeGo. Then came Windows Phone. Every few years, another strategy, another announcement, another promise. Customers became confused. Developers lost confidence. Meanwhile, Apple kept improving iOS. Google kept improving Android. Consistency won. Nokia kept starting over. Nokia believed it was competing in the phone business. Apple understood something much bigger. Phones would become platforms. Platforms attract developers. Developers build applications. Applications attract users. More users attract more developers. It's a cycle. And once that cycle begins, catching up becomes incredibly difficult. Nokia continued making excellent hardware. But in a software-driven world, hardware alone wasn't enough anymore. Looking back, It's tempting to say Nokia should have seen it coming, but that's not how history works. Every decision Nokia made sounded reasonable at the time. That's what makes this story so important. Nokia didn't disappear because of one catastrophic mistake. It disappeared because hundreds of small compromises slowly added up. Success created comfort. Comfort created complacency. Complacency created fear. Fear stopped innovation. And once innovation stopped, the market moved on without them. Today, Nokia's story isn't just about smartphones. It's a reminder that no company, no matter how successful, can afford to believe it has already won. Because in business, yesterday's champion can become tomorrow's lesson.